After a year waiting, we officially have the first 3 episodes for season 4 of And for starters, right from episode 1, you can tell that this season has a whole darker vibe to it. From just the second it starts, there's this weird atmosphere throughout it all that something is off. And then when we get through the first episode, you can tell that certain characters, certain arcs that they're probably setting up for the future, and just future storylines that you can probably piece together where they are going. And from the way that episode 1 ends, you can tell that this season overall is going to be a lot darker. You could tell from the trailer that that type of vibe was more set up to what is going to come down the line. But right from the get-go, you're able to tell that this season is a whole lot darker. That's mostly because of the events of season 3, from what the final episode did to some of our characters. Those effects create this for a darker atmosphere. These characters have changed a lot since season 1, so of course their arcs this time around are going to be a lot different. And just that darker atmosphere, I think, is what I'm going to love most about this season. Which leads me to my next point of, you can tell that these first 3 episodes are just setting up for what is about to come from the rest of this season. Because I get the feeling that there's going to be a lot of stuff happening that season 3 brought us with those final few episodes. But this time around, all that stuff happening in those episodes is going to be consistent throughout this entire season. And if that's so, I think this might be the best season yet of Now, at this point in time, I have not read beyond of what the show has done in the comics. I have all of them right there on my shelf, I just have not read it yet. And I feel like this season is going to get me back into reading them, because from what these first 3 episodes did, I am officially hooked back into the show again, and it feels like we never left the wait a year in the first place. It makes you feel like you're consistently on the edge of your seat, wanting to press play on the next episode, wanting to see what happens next, because every single season, ever since season 1, I feel like always had a way to make you keep watching the show no matter what. Every season has always been teasing something to come season for season, and I feel like this season especially is going to be heavily diving on what's happening in the future of this show. And just these first few episodes, involving that edge of your seat factor, have introduced so much mysteries and questions that you're just curious about to know the answers to. You're curious to see where certain directions they decide to go with certain things, and how exactly are these characters going to end by the end of the season. Because like I mentioned before, season 3 ended pretty darkly for our characters and they changed drastically. Season 4, I feel like, especially the way that they set up some of our main characters to be in the situations that they are in the end of episode 1, I'm especially curious to see what is exactly going to happen by the end of this season. And even with all of that, even with the darker atmosphere of this show, it still has the same fun flair that the first few seasons had for this show. The entire story has shifted, a lot of it is extremely darker, a lot more stuff is happening, but the show is still able to manage to capture the same charm that the first season still was able to bring. What made you fall in love with the show in the first place, the characters, the charm of it all, the superhero nature of it all of that is still in this season. And I feel like that's especially shown in episode 2 of this season so far, where the fun nature of the show is still there. You get all this darker stuff, you get all this more suspenseful stuff, and all this epic stuff still happening, but you get episodes like episode 2 where you just sit back and relax and go, that was a fun episode. I'm glad that episode was in there. Episode 2 especially this season was hilarious. So overall right now, for the first 3 episodes of season 4, it's looking to be a great start. It's darker, it's more action-packed, while still keeping the same fun flair of what Invincible normally brings that made you fall in love with the show to begin with. Now, I did mention how I did enjoy episode 2 for being fun and just bringing back the charm that I loved about the first few seasons. With that though, episode 2 and even elements of 3, but I do think 3 is setting up character arcs down the line, so that's why it's important overall. But 2 is important, don't get me wrong, and I just love seeing it, but it felt weirdly placed. I always have this problem when there's always an episode like that kind of just breaks the story to separate on this different story. I wonder how it would have been paced if it was throughout a certain other episode instead of just having a whole episode based around this one thing. It felt oddly paced, it feels like it should have been earlier, feels like it should have been later. I don't know. It just felt off being episode 2 out of all the episodes, but Again, we only have the first 3 episodes. Maybe it only works in episode 2. I don't know. We'll see down the line. But like I said, we only have 3 episodes right now. We'll just have to wait for the rest of the show to come out, and then we'll see what happens after that. But overall, Season 4, right now for the first 3 episodes, is everything it needs to be. Action-packed, darker, while still being fun, being the superhero show that we fell in love with. I cannot wait to see what happens next this season. But anyways, if you like this video, maybe these ones on the sounds you too, like, subscribe, see you guys next time. Goodbye.